trash. Do you want to know what happened between Oleksandr Usyk and Rico Verhoeven? What really happened? I got you. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I am back with some more boxing. Now, I just got finished watching Usyk versus Rico, and I'm going to tell you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start with the good. There wasn't much good for me, right? The stoppage was in the 11th round with 1 second left. I kid you not. This is not a test. 1 second in round 11. This Rico fella was winning the fight. Usyk did not look like himself in this fight. So let's talk about the bad and the ugly, right? And I know some people are going to be like, oh man, the good is it looked cool. The ring looked cool. The pyramids. I'm a boxing fan. Shout out to Egypt. Don't care about the aesthetics of it. I'm a boxing fan. I care about the substance, the matchup. Is it relevant? Championship title fight when there's other guys. You're fighting a kickboxer. You're not going to wow me with fireworks. I'm not Katy Perry. You're not going to wow me with ring walks and pyrotechnics and, explosions. I care about the fight. So the bad and the ugly is Usyk, this did nothing for him. Now, some people are like, but why, Ego? Let me explain. There's a reason why I didn't do a watch party for this particular fight. And I'm getting really good at it, might I add. I'm not doing watch parties for fights that waste my time. I'm a content creator. I got to spend a lot of energy to entertain y'all and commentate. So I just decided to watch it by myself. And I'm glad I did because it was some pure bullshit. So throughout the fight, nobody asked for this fight. Let's start there. So we're going to get to the bad and the ugly. Nobody asked for this fight. Nobody wanted it. Nobody cared. Turkey, ring, TKO. This is what they made. And then they're like, oh, we're going to put it in Egypt. Yeah. Nefertiti. Right? So they did it. There was other viable options. This is what they made. Nobody even really knew outside of kickboxing fans who this Rico character was. But credit to him. I will say for the slightly good, it goes to Rico. Because nobody knew who he was. And he came and tried and did his best. And in round one, I'm like seeing mistake after mistake after mistake that Rico was making. Like he almost fought like Peaky Blinders, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hunchback and I don't know what you're thinking. Meet me and me Shamrocks. And like he had like an old school, almost like a bare knuckler, Brad Pitt and Snatch type of weird, awkward style, right? So I will give him props because you came out here, nobody knew. You're fighting a gold medalist, an accomplished two-time undisputed Usyk. You're expected to get blown away, and I'll give you some credit because you did substantially better than anyone predicted. Now, just like I told you, I wasn't going live for this fight. I didn't do a fight prediction because I didn't really even know much about the Rico guy, so I wasn't even going to do all that. But anyway, he came out and did pretty solid. Very awkward, making a ton of mistakes. His feet were very wide, which is cool for power, but he was trying to box a bit more, right? There were many moments where his feet were squared up, and the funny thing is the punch in the later rounds that sat him down, I predicted. I got to be the GOAT when it comes to boxing talk. The zone commentary is terrible. I literally predicted it in my round by round assessment and breakdown on Twitter. And I'll pull it up so you guys can see and look at the timestamps at all. I don't have no reason to lie, but the dude was making mistakes, but yet and still, for whatever reason, Usyk wasn't able to capitalize on any of it, right? And I just want you guys to see that I'm nice. I'm really nice. So hype up the video. And look, where is it? Boom, 42 minutes ago. So the fight just ended as of me recording. I'll click on it. Rico leaning forward a bit too much for me. He is ripe for a well-timed uppercut. And if you go back and watch it, that's what clipped him. I'm the GOAT. I posted that at 3:42 way earlier in the fight. The man was making many mistakes, but yet and still he kept trucking, and he was, kind of beating Usyk. And then there were even moments where it looked like he hurt Usyk. So I'm like, what am I watching, right? What am I watching? This guy who's super accomplished and, guy from MMA or whatever, and he's like even hanging. It was weird, right? Because you typically expect more Joshua Ngannou rather than Tyson Fury Ngannou, right? So we know Usyk is a good fighter and all that, but he just wasn't looking good. He looked flat-footed, very flat. All the surgical stuff he was doing for Tyson Fury, like, is just dormant, absent, right? Like, I love watching Usyk fight. He's a southpaw, and he'll measure you up and like feint, and you know what I mean? None of that was present, virtually none of that. But then it got to about round 5 where Usyk, it looked like he capitalized. And excuse me if I don't have all the rounds memorized to the T, but about round 5, he looked like he got Rico buzzed or got his attention a little bit. So I'm like, all right, let's see how this plays out. Rico kept trucking. There were times where he was smothering his work, which was kind of working because he's a big hulking dude and putting all that weight on Usyk. But then the very next round, Usyk didn't follow up. Normally he's a great finisher and stuff like that. And then Rico kept boxing. And then Rico's landing body shots. He's more so singles, but he just kept trucking, and he was busier and he was doing the better quality of work. So it wasn't a great fight. Let's be real. The ugly is Dazn has the worst commentary in boxing. After 3 or 4 rounds, they were already praising Rico like, oh man, no matter what, right? He's a legend and he's already proven so much. You still got several more rounds. This is a 12-round fight. Why are you just glazing and giving a bunch of credit with much of the fight left to go? And you're talking about after round 3, after round 4, he's already done enough and it doesn't matter. So that's what got people feeling like the fight was scripted. You know what I mean? Because it's almost like watching a B movie, a 2B movie or something. It felt weird. It felt very weird. And I even posted that on my social media where I'm not accusing, so you're not finna cease and desist me, but the proof is in the pudding. This is what I posted. It almost feels like Oleksandr Usyk needs to carry this Rico dude for betting purposes to a later round. That's how Usyk is fighting thus far. So again, I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying that's how it felt. It felt like Usyk, it just looked like a version of Usyk. We've seen him with Tony Bellew and how that played out. We've seen 2 fights with Fury. We've seen 2 fights with Joshua. We've seen him with Derek Chisora. We've seen him twice with Daniel Dubois, right? Who are all accomplished boxers, bigger. I don't know what was going on with Usyk, but it felt weird. It felt flat, and it really wasn't fun to watch. Dazn kept glazing like this is a great fight. It really wasn't. It was more about Usyk's shortcomings and how flat he was looking rather than the Rico guy was just doing so much. Again, credit to him. I'm not going to say nothing negative. He tried. He's a kickboxer. This is not your, ideal profession, even though you have Peter Fury in your corner. So I ain't got nothing negative to say to him, right? He tried. One thing I got to give Rico credit for as well is, given his size, I was highly, highly concerned. Would he be able to keep up this movement? Because what I noticed in a lot of these like crossover style fights is if a guy's big and he has a punch, but he's not really a seasoned boxer, you kind of let him blow his wad, pause, and burn up unnecessary energy. And then you lead him to the deep waters and you drown him. And then you turn up, look, the uppie, what I predict. I predict the uppie. I told you he kept leaning forward. I called this stuff Like, I'm like Doctor Strange of boxing. I called this. I literally called the punch that really set up everything, even though it was a BS stoppage. He was hurt in round 11. Anywho, the Doctor Strange of boxing got more to say. I give props to Rico because given his size and his inexperience in just pure boxing martial arts, or the martial art form of boxing, sweet science, he was able to pace himself pretty well. But it was no extraordinary stuff. It just looked like more so a bad performance by Usyk. I don't know. I don't know why he was on that. Was it some kind of conspiracy for betting purposes where you got to carry a guy and make it interesting and then like turn up on him? Was this Rico guy just way better than people thought? Is Usyk damaged or semi-washed from the wars with Tyson Fury? I don't know. You guys let me know that in the comment section, but let's talk about the stoppage. That's the real ugly, bro. Ugly. The referee, and I didn't get a chance to tweet it, but I was thinking it throughout the fight, kept making horrible decisions. There were a moment where Rico was like, bah, 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 bah. He was kind of on Usyk. Like white on rice, a paper plate, a glass of milk in a snowstorm, right? And he was landing body shots, and the ref broke him up. But I'm like, why are you breaking him up when he landed like fair and legal punches? That was stupid to me. There was also a moment, I think after he got dropped in the 11th, where the mouthpiece was out and then he delayed it. You got to give a guy a chance to stop him, you know, and pick the appropriate times for breaks. You know what I mean? So it was just, that was weird. And then with 1 second left of round 11, the man stopped the fight. In a fight where the Rico guy, given how bad Usyk looked, he was like, oh, I've seen enough. Won't be needing this anymore. And he just called a halt to the fight. It was egregious. It was disgusting. It was horrible. Bro, these ring cars, they got to really step it up. You did all this stuff with the fireworks and the pyramids for a mid-fight, a flat performance from Usyk, and it leaves people with a sour taste in their mouth, bitter beer face, right? Because it was horrible. Jake Paul post-fight said, I mean, that's the most insane ish I've ever seen. Rico was winning every round, and the moment the ref sees to end it, he ends it. JT, are you kidding? I'm the biggest Usyk fan, bro. You lost that ish. Shout out to Rico for beating his ass every round and getting gypped. Dang. Right? And then now people are saying it's safe to say we need a rematch. So to me, this looks sketch. I'm going to be real. The whole thing looks sketch. Moses Atuma is a guy Usyk should be fighting. And then Ajit Kabayel. So it's almost like downplay this fight, have this unknown guy do better than expected, and force a rematch. And then now Usyk don't have to fight the real people we want to see him fight in boxing, like a guy like, I'm not saying he need to fight Daniel Dubois again, because even though he got a good win over Wardley, he already beat him twice. But at least the Moses Atuma and also guys like your boy Frank Sanchez had a crazy knockout, or Ajit Kabayel's is mandatory. So it almost was like a setup to give Usyk this Rico fight again. It was a horrible stoppage. It wasn't a good fight. It was a horrible fight. And if there's no conspiracy theory involved or whatever, and that's just really what it is, in my opinion, Usyk has seen better days. And I'm a Usyk fan, but that was not nice. Like that type of performance, I don't know that he can actually beat Moses Atuma right now. Right? I don't. Given that performance, you got a controversial, disrespectful, and legitimately disgraceful stoppage win in the last 1 second that real boxing fans are not going to be content with. Nobody is going to look at that and be like, Usyk look unbeatable. Nobody's going to look at that and be like, that was a great performance. I don't care about that stoppage, because the whole thing is fishy. if it looked fishy from start to finish to y'all, type fishy in the comment section. Leave other comments, but also include the word fishy or put hashtag fishy so people know what it is. Something about that, it stank. It stank and it smelled like booty. It stank bad, right? What did I even watch type of ish? You know what I mean? Why would you stop it right there when the guy's winning in his 1 second of the round? So it was like, at best, if you don't believe in conspiracy theories, at best, you bailed Usyk out in a fight he was losing. In the moment, he had a great uppercut, but you got this big dude who seemed to at least have recuperative powers in round 5, and then you just, nope, that's it, and you forced a way out. The other red flag for this particular fight, right, is they mentioned on the telecast, keep in mind the Dazn commentator, right, scored the fight, virtually gave first 10 rounds mostly to Rico, gave Usyk maybe round 5, maybe another round, right? The Dazn commentator scored it super wide for Rico. They said in the telecast on Dazn, which is a horrible telecast and broadcast, it's like a podcast, a lot of talking, but during this podcast, they said that they had open scoring in Egypt, right? Which I hate, open scoring. So they said in the open scoring that the fight was even. They said the fight was even and it was 76-76. And anybody who's reasonable, there's absolutely no way that you could have had to fight that score. That like, let's say it was 10 rounds. I don't remember exactly what round they announced that, but let's say round 10. There's no way Usyk had 5 rounds and then Rico had 5 rounds. It's just impossible, right? If it was 8 rounds when they announced that, there's no way Rico had 4 and Usyk had 4. So it just shows you this was pure cap from the beginning, from the gate. They wanted Usyk to win, and despite a piss poor performance, they found an exit route. They found, that fork in the road. And as soon as I hate fights like that, it just makes you feel like you literally wasted all your time because a guy's winning. It's kind of like George Groves, Carl Froch type of experience where a guy's holding his own, clearly giving issue to the bigger star, the bigger name like Carl Froch. And the moment, I'm talking about the first, not the one where Groves got knocked out bad, 80,000 in Wembley. I'm not talking about that, right? I'm talking about the first one, and this is for the real boxing heads. When you have a Carl Froch and George Groves, I get it. He's a Cobra. He's an A-side, blah, blah, blah. But George Groves deserved better in that first fight, and he's winning. He dropped Carl Froch. He was winning the fight, and the second he gets in trouble, you're like, oh, I've seen enough. That's wrong. And this is why boxing doesn't grow, because of BS like this, politics like that. Some of the fights look rigged and fixed, and it got to be one of the worst stoppages of modern boxing history. And they even showed some of the slow motion replays, right? And Usyk was not even landing flush, and the ref jumped in. It was horrible. Like, if I'm being honest, it was horrible. I'm looking at the replay, right? So not only is it a bad stoppage, he wasn't like, I get it. The guy's hurt. The guy got dropped, but you're not even connecting flush, and he's trying to survive and move. He's showing attentiveness and trying to be resilient and get out the way. That's a cognitive fighter. That is not a fighter who is so, like, when a fighter's like Mortal Kombat, when they're like, finish him, and the fighter's just like woozy, okay, stop it. Because like, you're in no man's land. You got cobwebs. You're a danger to stay in this fight. But given the performance prior to this point, there's no way the fight should have been stopped. And this is what you get with Turkey, and this is what you get with Ring Magazine. And it's a bad stoppage, no matter what you say and how you try to spin it. Bad stoppage, poor performance. And when you give a fighter that, right, it hurts boxing. It hurts boxing because even if you thought it was a great fight, which I didn't, but even if you did, we're just marred with controversy, right? Marred with controversy, and then that overtakes the conversation. The conversation is now about a controversy rather than the right person won. And then Dazn is so horrible at commentary. They were saying stuff like, oh man, Usyk probably would have stopped him in the next round. You don't get to do that in boxing. You don't get to have one of these weak-ass commentators predict what would have happened because a person, like, imagine doing that to Diego Corrales and Castillo, right? Or Gotti and Ward, one of these crazy, like, up and down fights, seesaw fights where it's like, you don't know. Jermell Charlo, Brian Castano won. The tempo of the fight, you really don't know what's going to happen. You look at Juan Manuel Marquez and Manny Pacquiao. I believe he, like, the fourth one. It would be easy for the ref to just say, oh, Marquez is done. His nose is bleeding. But then look at what he did seconds later while being hurt. So this was wrong on all levels. Make sure you hype my video up. If it looked bad, if it looked fishy, if it looked rigged, let me know by putting #fishy and let me know your rating on Usyk's performance. For more detailed breakdowns like this, I will continue to hit y'all over the head. Check out some of my other content. I've been working hard. Shout out to everybody with the cash apps and the super chats. But this really didn't benefit Usyk. And this is why I don't like fights like this, because there was no real gain here, like Tyson Fury fighting Ngannou. At least Joshua knocked out Ngannou and held it down for boxing. But Tyson Fury getting dropped and struggling and controversy there. And now you got another card from the same people where you're trying to put a boxer and a kickboxer together, and there's more controversy, and the star boxer looks flat. This doesn't grow boxing. Joshua knocking out the MMA guy, okay, it went viral. Joshua did his thing, cool. But Ngannou, Fury, and this fight, it actually stains boxing. And I can only imagine all the MMA dudes are going to be like, that was bull. So now people are going to be like, man, Usyk and da-da-da, and boxing sucks. Horrible. These are the people that y'all say, oh, Turkey saving boxing and TKO. You all went to Egypt, set up cameras, set up shop for that. The card was horrible. Frank Sanchez knocking out Torres was probably the highlight. And then the main event, to me, wasn't really a good fight. It was more a lack thereof from Usyk, and then now is surrounded by controversy. Not a big fan. Shout out to Rico Verhoeven. I really don't even want to see a rematch because we already know Usyk could probably do better. I don't know if he was uninspired, if he was not motivated by this particular fight. Maybe giving these fighters these crazy paychecks for lower level fights, maybe got him big headed. Maybe he thought he didn't have to train for this dude. Something about this fight, it stank, and it stank bad. Something is rotten in Denmark. I did not like this fight. This is why I didn't do no watch party. Shout out to Rico Verhoeven. He's the only one that looked like pure in this whole thing. You know what I mean? Commentary is bad. Usyk flat performance was bad. He's supposed to be the #1 pound for pound. I told you I'm a big Usyk fan, but I'm gonna call it like it is. He's supposed to be the #1 pound for pound. You gotta do better than that, right? They don't want to put Gervonta Davis on the pound for pound list, and they talk about, oh, Lamont Roach. He fighting the actual bigger, actual lifelong boxer who fought him in the amateurs, right? Knows him well and stuff like that. Probably studied Tank. You got this awkward looking, you know what I mean, hunchback dude. And that's your performance. You know what I mean? And again, it wasn't like he was doing this incredulous stuff, but he was chipping away at it, and he was very workmanlike, and he was big, and he was awkward enough and herky-jerky enough to give Usyk a lot of problems. And in the end, we're left with horrible DAZN commentary talking about, oh, I think he would have stopped him anyway. We don't care what you think, because people probably said that about Pacquiao in the Marquez 4 fight and he got knocked out. I don't want to hear about what you think would have happened in the 12th and final round. Show me. Like St. Louis, the show me state. Show me. Don't tell me what would have happened. Horrible fight, horrible outcome, bad stoppage. Call me when it's gangster, man.